75% of the time, they are sharing an equal... Wait a minute, top lane gank on a Cube. He doesn't have much say about this. Cabochard, though, wants revenge. Purged out. He's got the knees going. Cube is low, and there's the fear beyond death. Kikis goes down as he bites off more than he can chew. A flash over his quick. Jizuke keeps himself alive, but no. Yes, the distortion back, and the glacial fissures.
I got drum, I got drum. Go, 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 go. Kaiser, 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 Kaiser. I got Kaiser here, Kaiser, Kaiser. I got Kaiser, 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 Kaiser.
Look, I go.
Gun TP, gun TP.
Kikis takes down Cube. It's now a 1 for 2, a 3 kill now. Attila's going for it. He says, King me, Vitality will take down Genji.
2-0 up on this team. They just knocked them out of Worlds.
Welcome back to Game 4 of the group stage here on Day 5. We're setting up for C9 versus RNG. Important to recap some of what's happened already today. Vitality took down RNG, exactly. They've also taken down Genji. C9 picked up a win against Genji earlier to make this group very interesting. But stakes of this match, RNG can lock a spot in the knockout stages if they pick up a victory here against Cloud9. And as they still remain one of the favorites in the tournament and most likely for this group, I want to attack it from the C9 angle. So how did Vitality beat RNG, and where does C9 pull learnings from what they did?
I mean, Vitality, I think, really did it, again, like we talked about, by playing their playstyle, by playing extremely aggressively, non-stop aggression, non-stop attacking with the Draven pick, with the Thresh, with the Zeyzal early, and they really did never kind of back down from RNG.
I think a big thing was that even though the game started pretty terribly for them, all things considered, a bot dive that got turned around for a kill, and then into another bot attempt that got turned into 2 more, they kept going. And I think you need to understand that RNG is a great team, and they will stuff some of your attempts, and so you cannot get down on yourself if they blow you up for the first 2 times. Like, you have to keep coming, and you can't suddenly get on your back foot.
And if I'm thinking from an RNG perspective, how to rationalize the loss earlier and what you would adapt here, bot lane loss, the Draven pick meant the pressure was really there for the side of Vitality. And then you think, okay, where was the counterpunch going to come? The counterpunch in mid lane seemed possible because the Ryze was pretty hapless in the mid lane. Sometimes summoners were down. Surely the Ornn could come in, throw down the Ornn horn and try to make a play. But that's not really RNG. RNG mostly play around, if Uzi's ever behind, throw resources like teleports to the bot lane and salvage Uzi's lane. Sometimes they will try to attack Xiaohu's lane, but increasingly recently, they leave him on a bit of an island. Because of this, they never had an area they were winning, and then the excellent execution of Attila and friends really carried Vitality over the line. So I want to see if bot lane gets in this scenario, and we know there's going to be a Draven ban, maybe attack somewhere else if you're RNG.
I mean, I just think it's so interesting because, you know, you talk about the bot lane losing, but Uzi started with first blood, and they actually got the first turret in the bottom lane as well. So to me, it was really about that adaptation, you know, from Vitality, realizing that they were getting pressured out, going topside, getting the dive where they not only cashed in for Draven, getting solo gold on the turret. So, you know, always finding an avenue of attack, I really think was something that kind of did themselves the credit.
Well, then there will be some reliance on C9 being able to adapt in the moment, in the game. Svenskeren is staying in the jungle position for Cloud9. Mark, I'm coming back to you. We talked a lot about the successes of Vitality against RNG. Quite obviously, C9 is not Vitality, so they can't just replicate one-to-one. More specifically around Cloud9, what are you looking for, or what are the strengths that they can index into to maybe be successful here?
I think one thing, they're obviously not the same team. I think Vitality has an extra level that they go to, but on the flip side, C9 can be a little bit more controlled, and I think it might not sound like the best thing. I think if you can get up to Vitality's level, I'd rather see that. But if you want to go for a more controlled approach and not hard focus on like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao's and stuff like that, like the Nocturne is fine, even though it's a little bit slower pace. And I think that can still work out fine.
Pocket picks. This is something we've talked about. Let's talk about it again here because the Hecarim came out for Cloud9 earlier. We saw the Echo for Jizuke be successful. We've seen the Draven now be successful. Does C9 have anything left in the tank? And if so, is this the time to bring it out?
I mean, I think they do. We saw Evelynn once earlier from Svenskeren. I think the ability to bring out that, the ability to bring out Draven, to bring out Hecarim. There's too many picks for the amount of bans that there are, and I'm going to be really interested to see what RNG is most worried about. Coming off a loss to Draven, do you ban that out and perhaps leave Hecarim or something else along those lines up?
And just really a focus on engage is what I want to see. The ability to keep throwing yourselves at the enemy. You're coming off a victory on stage today. Genji have none, RNG have a loss. there's a big way here. Just keep the same high tempo play that really helped Vitality continue to attack and eventually blow open the game.
The final thing I would say is get Licorice, hopefully, in a good matchup on the top side, because he is your best player, I would say, for Cloud9 right now. Jensen had a great performance, but Letme has been kind of the one who got picked off in that side lane that allowed Vitality to get back in the game. If Letme is not having a good day right now, that might be one of the best ways for C9 to get in.
The stakes continue to rise as the race for the top 2 spots continues. Let's get another game under our belts as we send it over to Freak, Vedius, and Spawn for C9 versus RNG.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome back to Worlds. My name is David Freak Turley, joined, as mentioned before, Andrew Vedius Day on the far side, Jake Spawn Tiberi in the middle. This is going to be exciting. How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I've had a pretty good day as a European fan.
I think that when both North America and Europe got out of bed this morning, it was going to be a tough day for them. They knew that they were going to be put to the grind, and so far both teams have been rising to the occasion. Cloud9 now get their opportunity to be able to do that against RNG. This should be a great match to watch.
It absolutely should be. Cloud9 had very, very bad early games, none worse than their match against RNG back in the first week, but they have shown a little bit of better fortitude in the first 20 minutes here today, and we'll see if they can hold up against Uzi and Ming, because Sneaky and Zeyzal have been having bad landing phases.
And I think so much was through Jensen, that catalyst in the mid lane, and the ability to get the early game finally rolling in their favor. He had done it throughout the play-in phase. He hasn't really been on that many of the support picks. I like the fact that they got away from the Galio, that they headed back towards the LeBlanc, and now Xiaohu, a player that has risen to the occasion on big stages internationally, has his work cut out to him, because if Jensen returns to form, this could be a scary matchup.
Well, of course, we are into picks and bans, and Royal never give up, giving some respect to the laning phase. Draven banned away, no Nocturne, very standard for C9 to run dive-heavy compositions. The Hecarim's still up, but I don't expect Aatrox to be picked as a result to try to deny even more of those picks. And it leaves us with the, you would think, Karsa first pick. That said, Sneaky has not been laning too well on the champion, so instead it is Thresh being banned, removing playmaking from Cloud9.
Quite a lot of options. Alistar was the first one that came to mind in terms of a very safe engage. One of the strongest supports in the game right now, and I'm sure that Zeyzal is more than happy to pick up the champion himself. Things like the Urgot and the Aatrox are available as well. And you would imagine that given Cloud9 have shown a counter to both of them, they're more than happy to let either one of them through.
Well, raise the puppy. Uzi on Karsa should be no surprise. No one has let this champion go through picks and bans. You've got the best player and the best bot laner on the world. That is true, you're right. My stats are no longer up to date for that one anymore, but this is one that's interesting with that Karsa coming through, and the best player in the world, Uzi, is set up to carry even on Champ Select.
And this is interesting because when Sneaky was put in this situation, he also defaulted back to a Sivir pick. So I wonder what is the next tier of the 80 carry lanes here, whether it is something like a Varus, something like a Jhin that we've seen a lot, or whether they do just go that late game scaling.
Now, the last time we saw Cloud9 go up against the Urgot in the play-ins, we actually saw Licorice bring out the Lissandra, the tank Lissandra, as a means of dealing with it. And while you don't win the lane, you really don't lose it, and you can act as a front line later on into the game. But given that they've actually drafted AP in the jungle with the Taliyah and have gone for the Sivir that you were talking about, Spawn, I wonder if they still have that in mind, or whether or not Licorice is thinking, okay, I'm going to go with the Aatrox, a tried and true champion that can really swing either way depending on how you play it.
This almost looks to me a bit more like maybe an Ornn game even, when you've got more damage output elsewhere. You need a front line for them. Now Gragas being locked in, and that's of course going to be flexible between Gragas and support for Ming, between jungle and support, so we'll see what happens.
And I think it is one of those picks that right now we're seeing flexed into the support more often, as a support champion pool tends to be more playmaking right now. We have seen some negative supports. The most popular has been Tahm Kench, and it has looked good, but Braum at the same time hasn't really found its place in the current world's meta, so I would expect that to be Ming. Karsa has a very large champion pool, and potentially an area where Cloud9 can look to attack with things like Lee and Olaf, but I think that he does have more to show after that.
Yeah, very true, and right now Royal never give up, just targeting the top side of the map, giving that Urgot the best possible matchup, and Cloud9 themselves even banning away the Lissandra. This surprises me. We already talked about it as a means of an answering to the Urgot. Perhaps they have something in mid lane. Something like the LeBlanc is currently left up and available, and they don't want to give that over to Xiaohu, given that he did play it earlier in the day up against Vitality.
And it's seen and it's banned, and I was going to say that is a very viable solution, because even though LeBlanc, historically seen as an assassin, has proven to be one of the safer blind picks and has been repetitively taken away, I also think that you can give a lot of credit to Licorice, because he is an innovator, and we keep saying if there is a ton time for another pocket pick, it would be right now for Cloud9. I'm interested to see if the young man has one.
With the Galio band as well, along with the Lissandra, this to me implies that Cloud9 are looking at an Akali pick in the mid lane. Could also be sent up towards the top side of the map too. One that has been known to play Akali into the Urgot, and it can be a pretty strong split push threat. The question is, will Royal look to grab it for themselves and put it in the mid lane, or will they just let it through?
Well, right now, Lee Sin being grabbed. That's, of course, going to go to Karsa, one of the very best junglers in the world, maybe even the best if he can beat Score maybe later on in the tournament. Either way, though, we are going to be waiting for their mid lane pick at the very end unless the Urgot gets flexed down there for Xiaohu. So Cloud9 now must lock in their lineup. Taliyah almost certainly is jungling, so who's going to be mid? And it's going to be the blind pick, Syndra most likely, and we'll see what top laner Cloud9 was waiting to pick for Licorice afterwards.
Now this becomes spicy, because if it is the Syndra, you are throwing the gauntlet of potentially taking a matchup like an Akali into it. However, as you mentioned, it has been flexed into the top. Has it been successful yet into the Urgot is a completely different question, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right now, Cloud9 just flexing a lot of options available to them. We will see Jensen on that Syndra, and right now they have a lot of AP damage. They have the engage from the Alistar. They don't really have, outside of the Sivir ultimate, that much follow-up, and so they're going to round things out with the Shen to just kind of follow up on the limited engage that Cloud9, I believe.
And I actually like that pick, because if this is going to be the last pick, Akali, then it does allow Jensen to be a little bit further up in the lane. I think that the last time we saw this, the Shen was actually on Jensen's side, and on the Assassin was able to play very aggressive. If you swap that, especially with a top lane Shen, then it does not give the same flexibility.
Gives you a bit of durability there, and now Sion going to be locked in as the last pick now for Royal Never Give Up. So it's a bunch of meatballs plus Uzi. Urgot can be a threat, don't get me wrong. It looks like that's going to be in the top lane as Xiaohu will be playing the Sion mid and should be nearly invulnerable against Syndra.
And the first time Uzi made a world final, it was with the Raise the Puppy comps. We thought that they had gone away from it, that this was a more dangerous team than we have seen historically. But when push comes to shove, Royal showing that they still have so much faith in the best player in the world.
And let's not forget the last time that these two teams met, it was Sneaky that was dismantled in the bottom lane. Uzi just tore him apart, and it was largely where they snowballed the game from. Can Sneaky step up? So far today, he's had a great performance, but with a comp that is built around enabling Uzi and making him the carry of this team, all eyes will be on Sneaky to see how he handles the pressure.
Absolutely eyes on the bottom lane as his coaches shake hands. Now there's a chance these teams meet again in a tiebreaker later on at the end of the day. There is a chance these teams could battle for first. There's a lot of seeding still up for grabs, but with an RNG win, they guarantee they move on to the top 8. Seeding still to be determined based on the later games. Cloud9 know they still have tests ahead of them as well. However, today has been a day for upsets, and C9 might make that the 4th in a row. If they can dethrone RNG, the reigning MSI champions, what most people consider the best team in the world, they did falter against Team Vitality. C9 gonna hope to capitalize on that, but there is still a very tough test. Xiaohu, Uzi, and the rest of RNG are absolutely incredible players.
And we've already had an amazing day of games. Cloud9 versus Royal Never Give Up, and now gonna butt heads once again. Group B will conclude today. North America have their eyes. Can Cloud9 make it to top 8?
2-2 versus 3-1. Only one team has been eliminated so far, and either team with a loss still has a chance to battle back through and make their way into this one. A lot to play for. Not a ton to lose just yet. There's still more games to play for both of these teams. Uzi has a gigantic front line in front of him, and Karsa, one of the best Lee Sins in the world, can set up the early game so well.
Yeah, we talked a lot about RNG's composition, which is very much protect the Karsa, protect the Uzi. You have a lot of meatballs, you have a lot of peel for the Karsa, and basically you're going to rely on her once she completes 2-3 items to be that primary damage dealer while the rest of the composition is engaging. But for Cloud9, they have a couple of early game options that they can take advantage of with the Syndra playmaking in the mid. You do have some setup, but with the amount of tanks and the amount of lane pressure that RNG have in mid and top, it may be difficult for C9 to find those early leads.
And one of the strengths of the Sion pickers at top lane is the ability to shove out the lane, rotate towards the mid, rotate towards the jungle, and create control. What we have seen from Flash Wolves so far this tournament is it can replicate that playstyle in the mid lane, but to towards bottom. They use it to get Betty ahead in those situations. Proskurin put him second on the AD carry to watch list because of how well they'd been playing around him. Well, this was the first carry on that list, and now Xiaohu gets to visit that lane frequently, and let's see if they can execute on it.
And right there, the red buff leash goes over to Svenskeren, no issues, and we'll wait for the next sets of camps to come around as Karsa's going, looks like a very early buff to buff, and then be around the bottom lane. Fight for Scuttle and everything else that might be had here as the waves are pushing back and forth, and Ming wants to step up.
And the dream scenario this time around is that Cloud9 get to about level 5 and start shoving out this wave and being able to control the minion wave. If you can do that, you can minimize the losses you took. So much of the damage last time was that Uzi had the better laning AD carry in Xayah versus the Karsa. And we'll see whether that still holds true now.
Bodies have almost hits, but he's pulverized just outside of turret range. And that trade goes back, and no harm, no foul, really.
So C9, they aren't quite able to get the early push. They're currently struggling a little bit due to the lane deficit, but in a Sivir lane, this is somewhat what you expect. Even Karsa, not considered the strongest laning champion, she can still apply a bit of pressure, especially with the amount of zoning control that the Gragas can gain, given that he has control of the brush for the time being.
Especially with how much pressure Ming put forward, C9 could not step up. That first two waves went 11-4 in CS, so already a great start, and we've got the Lee Sin just stuck in a vision. They know he's there, but not sure C9 can stop this at all.
And look at Sion as well, moving into the bot side of the jungle. So much vision already invested in the bot side of the map to allow Uzi and Ming to play like this. As Sneaky so far down in CS already. And, you know, we talked about it coming into the draft. This was the guy that really struggled against this bot lane from RNG the last time they met up. And while this is what you expect in the early laning phase, Uzi trying to replicate past performance.
Summoner heal burn. He's actually afraid of an ignite coming down from Zeyzal, so that is at least a small issue. But look at this, Karsa. Already ready to put the pressure down. Nice dodge in that Q. Sneaky was in danger, but look how much more farm C9 is losing. Royal never give up. Have to play around Uzi, and they are absolutely blasting this bottom lane.
And the first stage is survival, and right now you can see that Cloud9 is just battling to be able to survive, putting so much effort into it.
On the top side, of course, one of the best performers of Cloud9 has been Licorice, and so far this top lane looks very, very good. Urgot's been incredibly lane dominant before. That is at least a point of strength for C9, but Shen is not that carry that a Karsa will be later on.
And we spoke about differing playstyles in the bottom lane, the ability to take something like an Ezreal and try and come online before the Karsa gets to that late game carry. Unfortunately for Sivir fans, that is not the case with this champion. It still is a crit user, still needs to be able to build up big CS advantages. We've seen members be able to do it at World so far, but so far in this game, it looks like Sneaky has been struggling, gets a reverse off the turret. This is looking a little bit more promising.
One thing on the other side of the map, as we look for a bot lane potential fight, now Zeyzal's going to take some damage. These gets going to get
Jungle is
hit
hit
there. That's a lot of damage. Zeyzal's almost dead. Going to go ahead and pulverize. Gets healed. Then might turn back as Svenskeren finds Karsa on the side. Zeyzal will stop getting burned down, but very low on health on that side. Will there be a seismic shove? Uzi might have to burn the flash. And can Sven get in range? Looks for it. That's going to be the flash out of Gragas, as Ming is now out of summoners. Both supports out of lane.
Yeah, and whilst they got the flash out of Ming, that was so close to hitting Uzi as well. Just knew to the millimeter how far he could get away, but a great counter game coming in from Sven, being able to push that in their advantage.
And this is a really big deal for Cloud9, because if they can force Uzi back, that's a lot of farm that he's going to lose. The CS gap can close, the experience can go in the Cloud9's bot lane favor. And I thought it was risky for Uzi to stay around. He did have Karsa there to act as support for Svenskeren. He was lurking around just behind the tower. And so Uzi will be forced back. Cloud9, they finally get some gold back in their pockets.
Yeah, Uzi did stay and picked up most of the XP on that wave, but he will still lose almost the entire full next wave. It is not a cannon minion. It's easy to push in. Sivir has enough mana to shove. So Uzi will be more or less caught up now with Sneaky, or I should say vice versa, as that shove comes through.
And you fly around the rest of the map, and it's actually Cloud9 members that are starting to generate a little bit of that advantage. We noted on the analyst desk how much RNG right now seem to be focusing on that bottom lane. They were able to secure the picks that they wanted, you know, very early picks for Uzi and Ming in this draft. But Licorice, Jensen, you feel that they are starting to rise to the occasion.
They are. This game is tied in the early game, and that's not what it was like for C9 last time these teams met. I do want to talk about Uzi some more, because he's the most important player on this Rift. He's going pickaxe first. It's a Rage Blade rush that will be less early game power for him. Better scaling overall by skipping the Storm Razor, as Karsa has snuck into this brush in the top lane.
So Karsa just looking for an opportunity to try and get Letme ahead on this Urgot. Oof, will just barely miss.
An important flash for Licorice right there to not get hit by the Fear of Beyond Death. If that slow lands, they might have the burst to kill him as Karsa. It's pretty high level, has some damage there. Xiaohu fighting for wards, gonna get pushed back by Jensen. Jensen himself plus 14 CS in the mid lane. Not that Xiaohu needs to win lane, of course, but it is good for Jensen that he has so much farm, the most CS in the game.
Yeah, and Jensen's been having a great game so far already, but also a great day. When he played that LeBlanc earlier in the day, his performance was a really big part of why Cloud9 were able to get that win over Gen G. And I just think it's worth kind of highlighting how he, as a player, he didn't have the best play-in stage. For a lot of this split, he was kind of that supportive mid laner in terms of the Zillion playing around Blabber, but today we kind of saw revitalized Jensen, the assassin player that can really take his team much further in the World Championship.
And you could see it was growing because he was willing to pick things like the Kassadin, like the Aurelia in the play-in stage, but the rhythm just wasn't there. He was never able to find his groove. Crown did give him a couple of little freebies in there. However, you have to be good enough to catch it, and Jensen, again in this laning phase, is starting to build an advantage. And as a Karsa, until very late game, you're still scared of the Syndra, is how I will put it.
Yeah, and Spawn, I think we should kind of look at what Cloud9's options are as Karsa looking for a gank up top.
2v1 up top when Licorice is flashless. They could have a lot of damage here as Karsa's slinking his way over. Licorice down, but able to get down to the river and get away in time. Nice escape by Licorice.
That Spirit's Refuge is working out beautifully and mitigating a lot of the damage that comes from Letme from his legs. And because the jungler has now been spotted topside, this allows Svenskeren to move towards the Drake and set this one up because Uzi and Ming forced to play more defensively.
And this is the benefit of having that Targon's support, the AoE clear that can come out of the Sivir, and if they can continue this style of just forcing Uzi to play against a minion wave, but Xiaohu knows that Sven's doing that. He has ult.
Zeyzal and Coward coming across. They got a block as the flash comes away. Shen joining as well. Xiaohu TPs, jumps forward. Here comes the rest of the team. Will this be first blood? Cloud9 looking to answer. The kill goes to Zeyzal. And now Ming, he's low on health. A trade kill as a zombie gets one picked up. The stun's going to land. 2 kills for Cloud9. A team fight win for NA.
And the map awareness of Licorice to be able to join the play. Letme still has the ignite and cannot get down there. Cloud9 just absolutely aware of the moves that RNG want to make.
Things initially didn't look too good. Svenskeren extremely low on health. The Sion ulti primed and ready to just run him down. But Cloud9 responds accordingly. The ulti from Jensen comes in clutch. Cloud9 find the turnaround fight and will get themselves the kill lead.
And the difference between Sneaky and Zeyzal being able to push, being able to survive, now thrive, versus the first game we saw between these two teams is so stark because they do have the first rotate.
Yeah, exactly that. We talked about how the bot lane of RNG has to play defensively because the jungler was spotted topside. Xiaohu commits to this fight because he thinks that he can kill out Svenskeren, but this is a 4v5. Licorice's ulti was there to protect Svenskeren after he flashed out, and Xiaohu just overcommits.
And here's the head-up horrors down to the bottom lane. Out of that Acer Predator replay into a fight in the bottom lane. And they might knock down Ming. A great flash, but Syndra's on the way. Svenskeren gets the kill. They zone out the team. Uzi gonna make the run away, but now Jensen wants to chase in, won't find that stun, but it is still bot lane map control for Cloud9.
And just the awareness again, you know, they're fighting when they have members early to the rotate. This is a much more polished Cloud9 around Summoner's Rift.
And you compare this Cloud9 to how they've been showing up in the groups. Disorganized, individual misplays, people just falling down in lane. Everyone on Cloud9 is showing way more respect to their opposition. They're really stepping up in this matchup, and they are the ones with an early game lead against RNG.
And as much as any other Worlds in the past, this Worlds has proven that the teams are much more evenly matched, that it is who shows up on the day, that no region right now is untouchable. And again, RNG is starting to look more and more mortal.
It's truly incredible what has happened at Worlds. If you watch the hype video that started the entire tournament, you had Casa June saying, we said the gap was closing to give other regions a little bit of false hope, to make them think they could challenge Korea. But so far, the only team eliminated from the group stage so far has been a Korean team. Both Cloud9 and Vitality have stepped up in a group where this was the group of death because they couldn't get out. And you can see them stepping up so well, at least today, and getting these upset wins. C9 with an 800 gold lead over the best team in the world, RNG.
And once again, it looks like a question questionable play, you know, throwing ults into Xiaohu, but now if he can't generate the push, if he can't relieve pressure from Uzi, there is only one lane remaining in Letme that they can look to attack.
And let's look at how the bottom lane has now translated, because you think about it, Sneaky was down 20 CS at extremely early levels. There was a risk of a level 3 tower dive, and the bot lane looked like it was falling apart for Cloud9 once again, but with some support from Svenskeren, with respect being shown from Sneaky and Zeyzal, with that early game play going in Cloud9's favor, he now has a Storm Razor completed. Sneaky is sitting on 3 assists, and Cloud9, they can just continue to play through the bot lane. RNG are even swapping because they recognize this pressure difference.
I like this choice a lot. They can maybe funnel some gold into Uzi. They can get first turret out of it. Right now, though, Sneaky is shoving into the bottom lane. Herald's being summoned. I think RNG win this push here and get a couple hundred extra gold to their favor with this one as they walk up. Shelly dives forward, and now we have the race on in the picture-in-picture. Sion hoping they have the damage output as Zeyzal is recalling to give away some time, and it will be first turret to RNG. I think that recall was a bad choice out of Alistar. Turrets still traded back and forth. The local gold shared across RNG, but now it is that Chinese team only 300 gold down.
And I believe that was the best option available for RNG. They knew that with the first item completed for Sneaky, that lane wasn't going to be as favorable as it was before. They don't have the pressure on the bot side of the map, and we may as well take advantage of the Rift Herald that RNG had picked up for themselves. So I like the response. It keeps the gold relatively close, and even though C9 sitting with the kill lead, it is them that have to maintain this pressure, because while Sivir is very strong in the late game fights, you just look at this front line that RNG has.
Karsa might be caught.
His ward hop is down. They got to get the blast cone, but he gets kicked away in time. Good play by Karsa. Gets right out of the seismic shove. That was a heads-up play there by the RNG jungler.
Yeah, it certainly was, and that's what I was going to mention. They reset onto the map earlier, however, now they're looking for the fight.
And Xiaohu gonna wait. They're gonna find the flash down onto Uzi. A lot of damage coming through. Will he die? The flash over the wall and the taunt gets the kill. There's no damage that's left for RNG. They're pushed out of their own jungle.
And Cloud9 find the pick onto Uzi. 4 kills to 1 is now what North America lead with as they find themselves a 1,000 gold lead.
And finally, we're seeing some heads-up macro play. The earlier reset means that they have advantage. They deploy onto the map first. They're in behind the vision line. And this is just Zeyzal as the rookie making the play, being able to get Licorice deep into the team fight and pick up a crucial pick.
That was one of the best heads-up individual plays I have seen this tournament, to just hit trample and wait and stalk Uzi, flash auto attack in the pulverize, set up the team. That was a great play from potentially the most underperforming member of C9 at Worlds so far. Had some boneheaded plays, but a huge one there in one of the most crucial games.
And they're on the right path. This is what Svenskeren wanted to see, you know, some attack into the bottom lane to upset them, to come out with some counter picks. But this game is still far from over. 14 minutes in, it's only a 1,000 gold lead, and you can still see how big the front line is, looking for another play.
Looking for the rest of them. The flash forward. Can they get Jensen now? A giant knockup. Fear Beyond Death will knock him down as Zeyzal grabs the kill. The wall on the wrong side, though. Karsa able to run backwards. A knockup for Xiaohu. The chase still on. No stun to be had. A great ward hop away for Karsa. C9 still 1-0 in that fight.
And on paper, that looked like a good play for RNG. They thought they'd caught Jensen out. They thought they could get the collapse. We're tanky enough to dive this tower, but the Cloud9 members were there and ready to protect their mid laner. Another kill goes in favor of Cloud9. They're setting up the dive.
And that's going to be a flash forced out from Ming as Zeyzal starts that one out. The wave clear, though, not too bad from Sion. This turret will stay alive, and C9 only get that one kill for their troubles.
Still early in the game, so Urgot has respawned. They pulled Licorice out of the side lane, and you can see that the hype is starting to build. However, Uzi, meanwhile, has just been sitting in the farm lane, has been trying to farm up. As he is the solo damage dealer, he becomes the win condition. Look to see where he chooses to attack to farm on the map.
And it's really important to remember that while RNG are behind, they are considered the best team fighting team in the LPL. They are considered one of the best teams in the world for a reason. And while this looks fantastic for Cloud9 and they can keep the pressure up, you always have to respect that fact. Even though Uzi is at a deficit, there is still the potential for him to make that big outplay and convert this into a turnaround for RNG.
Yeah, but they need more things than Uzi to go right, because the current way that this team fight is going to look, Uzi's going to dive on a member, you know, Licorice is going to be there, Shield, Spirit Refuge, so hard to burn down. If Licorice can keep Letme in this side lane, all of a sudden one of the big tools in the execute to get the team fight rolling isn't going to be available. And so far today, it just looks like Cloud9 are feeling it. They're on the same page. And if they remain that way, the team fight is still very impressive out of the North American squad.
And what an insane day it would be. I remember planning out what we were going to talk about this day. How few teams have gone undefeated in a group stage? 3 in the last 3 or 4 years have gone 6-0. Most of them have gone on to win Worlds as a result. And now the flash forward on a Karsa, looking to push him back in. He's going to get the kick away and just stay alive. C9 not quite getting that kill.
And Zeyzal, he only had to use his Hex Flash. We didn't really lose anything off the back of that, but they did get the flash out from Karsa, and that's a big deal on Lee Sin as Cloud9 continue to apply the pressure.
And I prefer this approach. Get away from the mid lane. Attack where Uzi's looking to pick up farm. He's down in CS for the first time. They're looking to attack his turrets. They're removing safety from the map, and as it shrinks, they'll start to take away jungle camps. They'll limit the economy, and Cloud9 can continue to build a lead.
2,500 gold is the lead for Cloud9 right now. They are playing patiently. They're looking for picks. They're utilizing deep vision. And this is a very different Cloud9 to what we saw in the first half of the round robin.
Even looking at their playing games, they went to all 5 games versus a Gambit squad. And Xiaohu coming in.
Gets knocked up. His ult, of course, down. Show back as well. Sneaky goes for the turret first. A giant knockup not quite to be had there as another turret falls. 3-1 in that score. C9, though, on the retreat as Letme looking for a flank. Turns back around, doesn't go for it.
Cloud9, they've secured the final outer tower. Looking very clean so far in this game. The dragon is alive, and RNG just trying to get some vision control around the bot side of the river. And again, their kind of win condition right now is just to stall things out, try and slow Cloud9 down. Because the way that Cloud9 are playing, their siege is very strong, their wave clear is very strong, and once they get a lead, their ability to force these fights with the Sivir, with the Alistar, with the Shen behind them is extremely strong.
This fight should not be contestable. Uzi was still in the top jungle grabbing the red buff, and now the jump over the wall. Zeyzal finds Karsa once again for a stun. Will there be a follow-through? They kick him back into Letme. He's going to have to flash back to safety now, and RNG able to push back C9 in the 4v5.
And I like the idea out of Zeyzal, but this is where the rookies can be that double-edged sword, a little bit over-aggressive. That was the member that he had burnt the flash on, so he tries to look for the play again. Doesn't work out, but I do believe that is the right mentality that you need to have to beat a squad like RNG.
As long as you don't bite off more than you can chew. Over-aggression has happened before, and even C9 themselves in their win over Gen G gave a couple of inklings that maybe they weren't quite as ready for that end game, but we are still in this game with the 3,500 gold lead. Cloud9 up the 2 Drakes as well. They can get around the map, and once again, they're looking for Uzi. He's actually on a ward, but Sneaky can't reach him other than with the Q, and won't even try. And now here comes Svenskeren, and he's going to be joining in with Shen as well, up over the top. The flash forward. Can they knock down Uzi? The taunt flash. They're going to find a little bit of that, but Uzi's still able to get away. He's surviving, as he does so often at Worlds. The dive under the turret, but Zeyzal maybe a bit too far forward. On the Xiaohu, who pops a stopwatch. Will there be the re-engage? A nice cast to buy some space, and RNG once again stay alive.
C9 tried to force the pick onto Uzi, and it devolves into a huge 5v5 team fight between both teams, but no one ends up dropping. This will give C9 a lot of control over the top side of the map. You'll see them clearing out the vision, dropping some control wards, but ultimately, a huge amount of summoner spells were burnt either side, and I love that C9 are continuously trying to be proactive. They're not slowing the game down. They're forcing every opportunity.
And you can see this, it's just aggression and cooler heads in this time from Uzi. Burns the summoner spells early, able to use the ult to get to safety, but look at the flashes used in this fight on the side of RNG. Zeyzal this time zoning the backline, Xiaohu doing the same, but when you're on the front foot, when you have a Sivir, when you have a global ultimate like a Taliyah wall, you're going to be able to start up fights. Without flashes available, the question becomes, can RNG avoid the fights?
We'll see right now. It's 2 flashes up to 1. C9 with the 2. RNG, only Ming has his, but some of them are coming back from cooldown. You've seen some big damage numbers so far in the last fight and throughout this game as C9 still holds on to this now under 3,000 lead. Looking for the next play as they are setting up around Baron that just spawned 20 seconds ago.
And once again, you notice the trend of attacking the lane that Uzi is trying to catch, trying to pressure him for every CS. This is what made Uzi famous. He would close you out of a laning phase on the first couple of waves. We saw him try and exert his will onto the game. But so far, Cloud9 have done a very good job of mirroring that pressure.
And in how many games does Uzi have less farm than his solo laners here? It is a game about Karsa, and yes, Urgot does have some damage, don't get me wrong. Letme can have a great game, and maybe he can be the carry instead. But when they know they want to play around Uzi, and C9 actually keeping him from getting that farm, that's a testament in itself to good macro in the mid game.
Now, the problem that Cloud9 have here is that there's no reason for RNG to face check this because they can see what's going on in the Baron pit. The ward hasn't been cleared out. C9 don't have that same level of threat, so there's no need to kind of run the risk of going into the enemy control.
Would like to see Zeyzal Hex flash that wall to knock down that ward, but come back from team. Either way, they've still created darkness, and they're still pushing their ward line forward. Now, RNG does not know what's in that pit anymore. Now they can start to maybe bait out a blue trinket or get some Void Seekers out there to have to make them check for vision.
And one of the criticisms I had for Cloud9 earlier in the day is when they had the 1-3-1 comp, they just kept grouping and fighting. Now, while with this composition, it's much better, their 5v5 compared to the earlier comp, note how they're playing all 3 lanes. They have Sneaky constantly keeping the mid-wave push. The rest of the members are keeping top with the top lane vision control in their favor, and you constantly have Licorice threatening the bot side of the map. Right now, the entire map is in control of Cloud9.
And notice the difference in the enemy composition. No great wave clear coming out of the Urgot mid. No ability to really start the fight without flashes available unless Ming is able to get into the backline. They're looking for it.
Looking for the play right now as the TV's coming in from behind. They get the pullback on the Ming. They might knock down Gragas 5v4 with a fear beyond death. He's going to come in as he's knocked down Svenskeren. A 4v4 team fight, and Letme is going to look for a bit more to do as the pushback is there. They're going to find their second kill, a shutdown to Karsa. Uzi is chasing. Can he get the kill on Jensen? Not just yet, but Cloud9 are routed. They're running away, and no jungler is alive.
And this time, Cloud9 tried to force the fight, but RNG were ready. A fantastic flash defense from Ming stops the engage from Cloud9, allows RNG to pick up 2 kills, and now they pick themselves up a tower.
And we've seen throughout this tournament how good RNG is at picking their moment against Gen G. They allowed the game to slow down, build to the ultimate climax. They hadn't even taken the tier 1 turret in that game when they won the game-winning team fight. And once again, we see the poise, the veterancy, and the ability to pick their fight.
And keep your eyes on Ming here. Flashes in, looks to punish Svenskeren, and C9 don't get any of the setup that they want. The jungler goes down. One of the big damages is eliminated immediately. Sneaky, the best he can do is hit onto Xiaohu, while Licorice is left to the wolves. RNG, all off the back of that single play from Ming, are able to deny the engage from Cloud9 and find themselves 2 kills for 1.
Beautiful explosive cast and a great follow-up from there. Sadly for Uzi, only assist for him in that fight, but you can see his gold still pretty solid at 8,400. That Karsa keeps scaling, keeps getting up there, and RNG within arm's reach, only 1,400 gold down. Certainly a winnable game and one that would lock them into the top 8 with a victory.
And this is what we talked about earlier. RNG's ability to team fight is something that you always have to respect. Cloud9, they've played the map exquisite so far. They've had good control over the map. They've set up vision nicely. They just have to be careful about when they pick their fights, because RNG will always look to punish you, as they previously demonstrated.
And I think that the pressure is on Zeyzal because he needs to fight when Letme can't join, but Licorice can. That fear beyond death was huge to turn the beginning of the fight. And I think that Cloud9 have got a little bit overexcited, have stopped picking their windows well enough.
They're actually in a window right now where Letme cannot burn his exhaust willfully to get his teleport back available from his summoner Spellbook, and there's a chance that he can be on the wrong side of the map if and when Cloud9 pull the trigger. There's a quick Drake picked up by RNG, shows that they've got the map control now. They've pushed in mid lane first as well. They have the option to go for mid lane tier 2, and they're running right down the lane. C9 late to the play.
Jensen is top lane as well. He doesn't have the teleport to join the fray. The rest of C9, they make a big blunder here, and RNG should secure another tower.
Royal never give up, getting closer and closer in this game to making this small comeback happen. The favorites coming into the tournament, the MSI champions, they've knocked down now 2 turrets in the mid lane and the gold within 1,500.
And the difference of this RNG versus any other LPL lineup that has been considered a favorite for the tournament is the fact that they have Karsa, the only member of the lineup that is yet to die. The previous jungler of the Flash Wolves has always had the ability to accelerate the pace of the game, but to also slow it down, and his addition to this lineup has made RNG truly world-class. And I think that, you know, the longer this game goes, the more confident RNG fans would be feeling that they have not only the comp, but the players that want to take it late.
Look at Xiaohu, he's hanging around on top of a control ward. The potential for a flank is there, but the rest of his team isn't quite there, so he's going to cautiously back away. Cloud9, they have control over mid. They also have control over the Baron, rather, as they may have caught out Ming.
We just saw Letme burn his exhaust on purpose for no reason against Licorice, just to get his TP back available. So now that they're playing that side lane, he can rejoin the squad. I think very important, and heads up for Letme to burn that just to make sure it's available. And now we'll see if the next play happens. Cloud9 shoving in the mid lane first, and Xiaohu on the recall. No TP up for him, so a little bit harder to get the whole squad together. They might find Ming. Headbutt, pulverize. They can burst him down, and he's gone instantly. A 5v4 on the map.
And they didn't use any ultimates for it, so just the minimum burn. They're sneaky now, approaches the turret. Potentially they still want to fight.
What is the play going to be? This is the best power play Sion's going to get for a while. 5v4 for still 20 seconds. The knockup, it's going to land in a 1. Fear beyond death. Jensen's got to get away. Another pulverize. Into the front line they go. Do they have the damage? As the squads are getting lower, the health bars are dropping down. A taunt finds Letme. 5v3. Uzi's gone as well. The clip is empty. Xiaohu falls for a double kill. Cloud9 on the map.
And this was the moment they were waiting for. Cloud9 picked the best possible time to force a fight. 3 members of RNG are dead. Uzi is dead. Cloud9, they will secure a Baron.
RNG's safe ticket to the top 8 is not going to be punched, at least yet, as Cloud9 have no jungler to be afraid of. This is a certain Baron for them at 27 minutes, waiting to make sure it all goes down, that their team respawns. There is no one to threaten them. This will be picked up. They're taking their time. They're making sure everyone's ready for this one. And that is Baron going down at 27-15. Cloud9, 6,000 gold ahead.
And the impressive thing is, on the catch, they didn't use any cooldown. So whilst it looks like they're out of position, Jensen is caught, they funnel into the choke point. Taliyah creates an even smaller gap, and they put RNG to the grind.
And the amount of AoE damage that was coming out from Sneaky in that fight was crucial as well. RNG funneled themselves into that narrow choke point, allowing the boomerangs to just bounce between all of the members of RNG. That meant that he melted through them, and you can just see it in the damage done in that last fight.
You've got Syndra spheres, you've got the pizza flying everywhere. And then, of course, you're trying to dash over these Taliyah pebbles. They have such a good clumped up fight. And as this gold lead starts to grow, they also have the ability to look for dives. RNG need to be worried about where Cloud9 is at.
And we got to think about the stakes for this game. Ultimately, Cloud9 versus Vitality means a lot. But if teams want to contest for first place in this group, a loss for RNG here can make that reality happen.
They're on their way. Cloud9 following in Team Vitality's footsteps of handing RNG losses in a group where that seemed impossible. They were so clean, so efficient in the first 4 days of the group stage. Now C9 have turned things around and looking as Karsa's in the front of the brush for what their next play might be. The rotation's heading toward the top side, looking for top tier 2, and 2 minutes left of this Baron buff. A lot of room for C9 to work with.
And you can see that RNG now very aware of the state of the map, not forcing on the outer turrets. I think that they're going to let it fall to the base, but the question is, can they even defend that?
When most of the team is chunked away, they can't easily join. Xiaohu going to be knocked back as well, and the turret down to about 1/3 HP. The inhibitor line is broken. RNG will cede this control, and the base starts to fall away in front of Cloud9.
And one of the hardest things about the Sivir comp is that you're so short range. Instead, they break the base and they go.
At the pulverize on a Xiaohu, they chunk him down, and that is a tank gone. One of many on the team composition, now onto the bottom side. Licorice holding aggro for now. Zeyzal, pretty durable. The ult is on as well. Tries to buy some time, but Uzi, of course, is still there.
They're on the
ready to fire. On the Nexus turrets. 5 versus 4. Health bar's a bit low, and a quick recall for Licorice. Has the ult to rejoin. The push continues. Ming is low. The TP to rejoin. RNG must defend this 4v5. Uzi, when can he make the play? Karsa goes for the kick. They look for Svenskeren. He pops a stopwatch. And it's a 5v3. They can get the kill, for the first kill comes through. Letme to try to carry it. Can it happen? Onside the base's door. But Ming has fallen. Letme keeps trying. They're done. Cloud9 knocked out RNG.
And now the North American lineup can seriously look to potentially go through as first. Another upset.
Cloud9, Vitality, both finding themselves 2-0 in the second round robin of Group B. This was supposed to be the group of death. This was supposed to be Gen G and RNG clean sweeping this group. But North America and Europe come up huge today and find the upsets.
And it is the young, inexperienced playmakers of both the lineups that have been stellar. Zeyzal in this game was unrelenting in his pressure.
And of course, Cloud9's work is not done. We've been talking about them and Vitality all day. They're going to be facing off, and the very next one, a C9 win, would guarantee them a spot in the top 8. As they have to recollect themselves. What a crazy day. Arguably, every single result, all 4 games, have been upsets. The defending world champions in Gen G 0-2, the defending MSI champions in RNG 0-2 as well, handed losses by the EU and NALCS.
And the style in which they're losing, the inability to regain control of a game as early games are starting to slip, is a little bit of panic entering in to the Eastern team's game. And I mean, Cloud9 in this, they just really continue that momentum, even over a falter.
And I just have to give so much praise to the bot lane of Cloud9, because in that draft, we were discussing how the last time they went up against Uzi and Ming, they got demolished. They were being solo killed. They were just falling apart. But this time, they showed early game respect. They didn't fall behind too much. They held their own. And in the end, it was Zeyzal making the plays. It was Sneaky dealing the damage. And it was the combination of those two, combined with great overall play from Cloud9, that found themselves a big win.
And we pointed out on the analyst desk that it's not all about Uzi, that there is a support, and their bottom lane just went 0-7 in a game.
Yeah.
Juxtapose that to how game number 1 between these two teams went, and I think that there is now a case that you sit down and you say, what are the solo laners from RNG able to do to generate some pressure to relieve it away from that bottom lane?
Sure, certainly. Letme Xiaohu kind of gave away control down in CS, and that Sion did not really come online, and there was no front line needed there. MasterCard player of the game, we are giving those honors to Zeyzal, the rookie support who joined part way through the split for Cloud9, filling in for Smoothie, and on Worlds might be leading Cloud9 to a top 8.
And we already talked about how fantastic his performance was, but it was thanks to his engages that Cloud9 were able to win so many of their fights. Remember that choke point, the one that secured them the Baron, finding that headbutt pulverize onto the 2 frontline members to allow Sneaky and Jensen to just do what they need to do was a big part of why they found their big win.
And if he wasn't starting the fight, he was creating space, he was attacking the backline, he was playing in an aggressive fashion that we've said that these teams are going to have to be able to consistently perform at if they are going to be able to go further in this Worlds tournament. And that is something so difficult to do as a rookie player, as one of the vocal members on the team. When you hear their comms, very impressive.
And you've got to think about the stakes right now, because Cloud9 only have 1 game left, same for Vitality. But if Vitality find the win and RNG find the win, then those 2 are the teams that make it out. But if Cloud9 find the win and then RNG, it's complicated. There's a lot going on.
If they lose, there's a
4
tiebreaker.
permutations
There's
left.
a lot of things that can still happen in this day, but what ultimately is, remember that Cloud9 have the tiebreaker over Vitality as well, given that they beat them previously if they're able to win another one today. So a lot on the line in our next game.
What matters is the winner is guaranteed to pass through the group stage, whether it's automatically or through a tiebreaker for first remains to be seen. Either way, we are stepping away, and when we return, the surprises of the day are going to face off when Cloud9 battles Vitality for a guaranteed spot in the quarterfinals.
We can beat RNG next one.
Yeah, I mean, Vitality can do it. We can do it.
Hell yeah.
Sneaky can do it. We can do it.
Hell yeah.
Cloud9 looking to answer. The kill goes to Zeyzal. And now Ming, he's low on health. A trade kill as a zombie gets one picked up. The stun's going to land 2 kills for Cloud9.
I don't want to catch ulti.
Right here. I'm on Alistar.
Side ulti.
Uzi's dead. Uzi's dead. Let's go.
He's going to come in as he's knocked down Svenskeren. A 4v4 team fight, and Letme is going to look for a bit more to do. As the pushback is there, they're going to find their second kill. A shutdown to Karsa.
Karsa. Finish it. Kill Sion.
Kill Bear.
Oh, we don't have to wait.
Can it happen?